Hello, everybody, and welcome to this amazing week that we have coming up. This reading is for the week of November 18th of 2018. And here in the U.S. on Thursday, the 22nd, we'll be celebrating Thanksgiving. And in addition, what I'm so excited about is this is the start of the Sagittarius energy. And this is why, just for you, I dug out my very favorite hat that I had during my cancer treatment. I wasn't a person that was drawn to wearing a wig, so I have this amazing collection of hats from my series called Cat in the Hat that I posted every day on Facebook. And this is just my favorite, and it reminds me of Sagittarius energy, and I want to just speak for a minute about why I love Sagittarius so much. Lovingly referred to by so many as Sag. Sagittarius is the centaur. It is a blend of the wild, a horse body, with all that is amazing about being human. The upper torso of a centaur is that of a human. And so the way that I see Sagittarius and why it is my very favorite sign of all, which sure is a good thing because my husband is Sagittarius, he has his sun there, is because it is this blending. I love the blending of energies. And it's that wild within, so the horse energy on the bottom half of what we call Sagittarius is this driving, powerful force towards freedom, towards the dawning of a new day, this new vision, this new philosophy, and always the possibility of taking ourselves higher, of reframing the way that we used to think about things. That is that horse wild within, as I like to call it. It's the same as that universal divine piece of you, that wisdom within that sees no bounds, that sees nothing as challenging or holding you back. It is all based on independence and freedom and choice. And there's tremendous power when we think about that horse body. There is tremendous push, almost, I really want to use the word propulsion forward into something new. If you're not happy with some portion of your life, you do. Sagittarius, wherever that is in your chart, is the very part of you that can push you into something else when you're ready. Then with that, the blending, and this is why I love Sagittarius so much. It's the best of both worlds. It's the wild, the horsepower, literally, with a human body. So the upper torso of the centaur is the human, and so that encompasses all, not only the energy centers, the chakras from the human, but also, and I feel more importantly, the sensing system, our ability to think, to taste and feel and touch and have emotion and have mental processing, because we've got our beautiful brains that help us to discern what is best. And so these weaving of these two energies is the power of Sagittarius, and that's why I love it. I look forward to this time of the year more than any other time. And something I've really come to know is that the very beginning part of any sign and the tail end of any sign is a particularly potent time when the energy is as pristine as possible, and also there's just an added energy to it. There's even more propulsion to a sign that already has that firepower. And Sag is a fire sign, so it's this driving passion within us to find a meaning that truly has meaning in our lives. And if we're not feeling meaning, then that Sag part of you is going to drive you to find it, to keep galloping along until you find that new view, that feels more satisfying, that feels more joyful, and most of all, that feels inspirational to you. And the reason that I chose this hat is the other part of Sag that I want to bring up is it is unapologetically just who it is. It is very renegade and built on freedom and loves travel and the exposure to all kinds of unique aspects of this life here on this planet. It does not want to be within bounds, and so it is unapologetically in its wholeness. It wants to express itself at all costs, and sometimes that energy, because remember, this is a fire sign, it can come out very boldly and brashly. And, I have Sagittarius in my chart in my third house. My third house is ruled by Sagittarius. And what that means is my communication ability is very much based on freedom principles. And if I feel boxed in at any point in my life, it is my communication and my processing ability that I use to get out of the box. I will not be pinned in. This is, as my mother jokingly refers to, and it's a family joke over time, I was the little, probably 3-year-old that when people in the family told me they wanted me to do certain things, I would put my hand up and go, no, she doesn't want to. And that's that Sag part of me. And so we all have Sagittarius somewhere in our chart. And I just want to really invite you to embrace this time, because it's just this, again, it's like rocket fuel for us to find more satisfaction. And really the biggest term with Sag is meaning. Sag doesn't want to do meaningless stuff. That part of you wants something that matters and doesn't want to just tick off the boxes and keep strolling along. It wants more. So our symbol for this week is Sag 8. And I purposely did go right into Sag. I didn't dowse for the sign. I wanted to work with the Sag energy, which is different than I do most months. I literally dowse for the sign and the degree point. But this week, we're working with Sag 8. And that 8 energy is about this reevaluation. It's kind of finding a new balance once you have this new awareness, because the 7 energy in numerology is about new awareness, and then the 8 is kind of like the infinity symbol that's about finding a way to work with this once you have this sort of epiphany. And once you commit to yourself that I do want more meaning, I do want it to matter, I do want joy in this part of my life that has felt so just flat and like cardboard. Sag can't stand cardboard. Sag wants like color and dimension and depth. It wants a lot more to sink its teeth into. So here's your how this symbol reads. Within the depths of the earth, new elements are being formed. So this to me felt like all of us are being called to the possibility of a new kind of crystal clear and very almost volcanic energy to push us into a place of deeper meaning, a place of greater depth, a place of more dimensionality. Like, think about this energy calls you from drawing a picture on the flat piece of cardboard like you would as a child to as you got older and knew how to use your hands and your mind. Again, it is that mix of the two, the inspiration, the centaur energy, the inspiration of the horse and that power and freedom with the ability to use all that makes us great as humans, our sensory system and our mind, to actually create a diorama, to add. This is where we're going this week, is we're moving from flat to dimensionality. And so I feel that these cards are pointing to whatever this new element is, and it feels very crystal-like in nature. I did not dowse for crystals this week to go with each card, but it feels like this crystal energy. And the way that crystals are formed is there's heat and there's cold and there's pressure, and they literally come from within the earth. And this is an essence that is coming from within you. It is the blend of this wild within, the horse energy, with this amazing capability we have as humans with emotion and mental cognition and all of our sensory system, our ability to taste things and touch them and see them and hear them. All of that is such a gift. And so those are the very, I don't want to say, I guess it's pressures. It's like what I just said about how elements are formed and how crystals are formed within the earth. These are the pieces that are the pressure or the heat or the cold or water or other rocks and elements coming together. It's these mix of energies that only Sagittarius offers. We don't have, there is no other sign of the zodiac that has this kind of a blend of energies. And remember, the purpose of this crystal, this new element within you, this new driving force, the purpose of it forming is the centaur within Sagittarius is always shown with a bow and arrow pointing up at the sky as if shooting for the moon, or another way to think of it is shooting for the stars. It's looking for something that only rings for you as being inspirational and hopeful and just more, because Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius. It's just more. You're looking for something more. I want more in my life. And this goes way beyond, way deeper than money or things or stuff. That feels so out in left field as I'm tapping into the energy. It's like, that isn't it. It's not about more money. This is about, if you literally have 1 month left to live, what is it that is more? What is it that is meaningful to you? Is it having a fat bank account? Like, that doesn't, it makes life easier perhaps, but you're looking, this is what Sag is about. Sag wants meaning. There's got to be more. You're going from a flat piece of cardboard, sticking money in your account. Okay, yep, I'm working every day. I'm putting money in the account. Stuff's going out to pay bills. I'm gathering stuff. I'm, getting a new wardrobe, or I'm buying a new piece of jewelry or whatever. It doesn't that just feel so sidelined? As we're talking about this, we're talking about shooting for the stars here. This is about a cosmic connection. This is about something more, and the true, deeper meaning of more. Flat cardboard to full out diorama. And at this stage of the game, with where you're at and the experiences that you've had in your life, think about the diorama that you could create at this time. I mean, we're not just talking about a couple of layers or 3 layers of the imagery. We're talking about one of those amazing, fold-out books that has all of this detail and dimensionality to it. There's more. There's more. So that's what this crystal essence is wanting to come forward this week, just to invite you to find more meaning. And I'm talking about the real deal when we say meaning. It is not about the earthly things that we think of as value. You have to really think about what you value. And that too, it really gets to Sag, the heart of Sag, getting to what your values are. And maybe you're retuning them a little. And it feels like this crystal kind of energy that is being formed within the depths of the earth. New elements are being formed, coming to a deeper sense of what is valuable. And often that those are elements within your life that take you higher. They just bring more meaning. I keep harping on it because that's Sag too. Like, it's just like, did you hear me the first time? I'm going to tell you again, and then I'm going to tell you again, which is the best kind of communication method you can do. You tell them again, and then you tell them what you told them. So let's get on with the reading now that I have harped long enough in my crazy hat. So the first card up is from the Flower Therapy deck. And this is Family Harmony. This card has been coming up an awful lot lately in my client readings. Interesting. The chrysanthemum, which is an incredibly... I'm not a flower expert by any means. I have a black thumb. But as I recall, I think this is a pretty hardy flower. And comes in these most beautiful shades. This says, your loved ones form a strong pillar of support. Embrace their love and put past issues behind you. And I'm reminded of just this morning, I decided to get right in the bathtub when I woke up. I just really wanted to take a bubble bath. And I was listening to another card reader that I love. And what was zinging for me as soon as I read this, he was talking about forgiveness. And this is, again, think about this concept of deeper meaning. And the new element that may be being formed within you has to do with softening to a point of it's not about being right or wrong anymore. I know this sounds kind of brutal, but it's the way it's coming through, and Sag is always sort of this harsh reality, but meant to break you out of your chains. And it's your chains that I'm focused on here. If you had a month to live, would any of those, injustices that you see, and particularly within family, I am drawn to... This is about family, and this can also be very close friends that you would consider family. Would any of those injustices really matter anymore? Because I dare say that I think you would be focused if you only had about 30 days left in your life, that you would really be focused on connecting with as much as you could and soaking up as much as you could, and seeing the meaning and the value of every person. No matter if you agree with them or not, it wouldn't matter. So really think about if it's worth keeping the grudge, or worth always needing to assert yourself and be right all the time, or seeing that somebody else is always behaving in that way, and that they always maybe want to be right, and you just sit like a wallflower and feel really like pissed off inside. What I'm focused on for this reading is letting you drop those chains. They feel like chains to me. It feels like I have to behave like this because that's what's expected, or I have to speak up because I have to defend myself. But what if there's so much with humanity that can be, it drains our energy. I literally feel drained as I'm doing this reading. And you know that I'm always focused on inspiration and hope. That is the reason I started the Blue Sky Shoppe and moved away from animal work. But this is the very thing. It sets you free, which is what Sagittarius is focused on. Sag wants no bounds. And I'm feeling this sense of like, whatever those chains are that are keeping, that may make you feel like you have to be defensive, or that you have to stay quiet, or that you have to behave in some way that is against what you really want to do. It's more about coming into your authenticity and about dropping the chains are draining your energy, and they're draining away the authentic part of who you are, because you feel like you have to fight it out, or you have to. I just get this sense of conflict, and either it's going one way where you're feeling the need to be defensive against somebody, or that you feel the need to totally withdraw and be like, screw that, I'm not even getting in the middle of that. I feel these, it's very like one or the other. It's very one end of the spectrum versus the opposite end of the spectrum. And this being a general reading, that's different for everybody. But to instead, why is it that we have to be faced with like really life-altering circumstances to be brought to our knees and to just say, none of that matters anymore. We just need to be together. We just need to appreciate each other. We need to be there for one another. That's what we're here for. That's why we're connected. You are in my life for a reason. And even if that person is no longer physically there, maybe it's somebody who has passed on, and this is for someone out there, there is just as much draining of your energy that I feel, even though that person is no longer physically either on the earth or maybe in your life. Maybe there is a divorce or something like that. Even if they're not physically near you or on the planet, they still are draining you. And it's because you're holding the chains. Once, particularly once people pass and go into spirit, they don't hold those chains any longer. I've never ever gotten the sense that they do. And they want freedom for you. And so maybe this is the week that you just pony up, to say it in a very Sag kind of way, and say, I forgive all that has happened, that I have done, that you have done, that we did together in good times and bad. And it has all made me into the person that I am today. And I'm thankful for that, because everything is really purposeful in our lives. And so then you just drop those chains. You say, thank you for what you've done to help make me who I am. And then you move on. And you stop letting that energy drain you in being angry towards somebody, or that they didn't treat you well. They've made you who you are now, and you are stronger for it. I guarantee it. So again, the focus for you feels like it's on freedom. It's on freedom, about freedom from holding on to draining energy when it comes to family or very close friends who feel like family to you. And just don't let it drain you. Sagittarius will not be drained. Sag has got so much energy to take you to that next level. So that's what I want for you, and for those chains to dissolve, and for your energy to be reborn, rebalanced. Because remember, this is the 8 energy. Sag 8 is our symbol. This is about rebalancing your energy. This is a new way to look at life, and to not hold that any longer. There's no space in your brain, in your heart, and your wild within for that anymore. The next card is from the Angel Tarot, and this is the 9 of Air, and I'll show you the artwork here. 9 of Air, so the air suit is about mentality. This is a great lineup with Sagittarius energy, which wants to take you higher. It's shooting for the stars. It's galloping to a new plane in order to see out to a new vista. It's trying out new, more expansive, that feels important to say to you, more expansive philosophies and ways of looking at life and living your life. So this card reads, expecting the worst, self-fulfilling prophecies, sleepless nights. And this, in the traditional tarot, this is a really brutal looking card. It is, it's funny that the air suit is generally just a really, it's brutal, and it cuts like a knife because it's the swords. And the 9 of Swords in the traditional tarot is somebody laying down, and they've got 9 swords, I believe that is, in their back. And again, very much like the first card, the new element that is forming for you, that is inviting you to take you to a new plane. This is a total paradigm shift when we talk about Sagittarius. Is about not expecting to be stabbed in the back, not expecting, that somebody is trying to make your life difficult, or that situations are just not working out for you. You must take your power back. That is totally giving your power away. That is totally just like dismissing all of your individual, unique propulsion, your rocket fuel. You're instead loading up your rocket fuel in these containers, and you're just like, okay, you want some? And you just give it over there, and you give it over here. Because this is expecting the worst. It is, this sense of just like everything coming down. And really this feeling of being done wrong, which ties in with the people who had the first card. Of feeling stabbed in the back, of feeling like, you can't get anywhere. What I feel here is that Sag is really calling you to get clearer in your mindset, in your viewpoint, and in your values. In marketing, it's a big exercise to go through sort of a brand awareness. And over time, your brand changes. And this ties into a fun holiday challenge that I've been doing called the Mentor Master Class Holiday Challenge. It's a free thing, and it's really been fun. And it's interesting because this is queuing up today with your reading. We talked about brand in today's session, and I know this from my corporate work, and I've been doing this for over 20 years. Your brand, and this means you. You don't have to have a business. I'm talking about your life. Your life has a brand. And this is not a logo. This is about the experience of what is it like for people to experience you in this life. What does it feel like? So I want you to think about your favorite, a favorite brand that you have. And what that feels like when you experience it. So, some people might point to Starbucks, for instance. There is a feeling you get when you enter a Starbucks, and the way that you order, and the way the facility itself is set up, and what that exudes from you as a consumer of the brand. Okay? And so over time, the brand changes, and holy smokes, is yours changing right now. You are in the middle of a brand review, my friend. And this, talk about freedom. Oh, that is Sagittarius. It's got it written all over it. This is about going to a whole new place, doing a brand review for yourself. And a good way to start with that is to really look at, if you could write down single words, one words, like do sort of this brain dump of single words that really stand for or portray your value. Really think about, what is it that I value? And then ask yourself, from that big list, or maybe it's not a big list, but it should be really authentic. And then go through each one and say, really, am I living this? Am I embodying this? Or is this something that I am shooting for the stars, like Sagittarius with his bow and arrow? Am I shooting for something new? And I'm going to encourage you to shoot for the new. I really want you to get real with yourself about, what is it that I truly stand for? What do I value? And then, do you embody it? And if you don't, there's a reason why you wrote it down to begin with. And if you don't, but you still feel called to that word, so I just did this for my exercise about my business, most of all. And I would say I found it nice to settle on 5 words. And I would say uniqueness is not, I so believe in it. It's everything I believe in, but I can't really say that I do that. Do I really exude that? This is part of the reason for this hat today. Like, this is Sag, and I will show you Sag. And I'm giving it to you real here as a channel of the message. You are changing. You are not going to be somebody who expects the worst anymore. You are not going to be that person who, I have to be prepared because I'm going to get screwed. There's some real fear and lack mentality going on when we feel like I have to be prepared. I've got to have all of this money over here. I got to have these papers in place, or I need to, You want more than that. There's something big brewing for you. So again, go make that list of single words. What do I really believe in? What is the value that is me? And then the real, coup de grace comes when you really decide on, maybe it's 5, 6, 7 words for you. And then you really start to embody those. And I would say from a personal perspective, you feel into what's right for you. Getting up into 7 words, that's kind of a lot to spread yourself out on. For some reason, I'm feeling like if you could get down to like 3 core words, that sort of is that mind, body, spirit. It's that Holy Trinity kind of feeling. And, give yourself some room, some stretch room to stretch towards something. And this, Sag invites us to this new day that dawns only once a year. And it is very pure, clean, and powerful energy when we hit this on Thursday. And really for like the next, I would say about the first 5 days of Sagittarius, it's like boom, that the rocket is just ready to take off. And it is the most propulsion that you will feel in Sagittarius season. So just do a review. Do a review. What do I value? And really think about your brand. How do people, when they experience you, do they experience those words, would you say? If you are indeed, would you say open-hearted or honest? Do they really experience your honesty? And that's not always pretty, but it's honest. This is Sag. Sag does not hold back. Sag is brutally honest, absolutely honest, and can't stand inauthenticity. Can't stand people who are fake, because they see deeper, they see more within that person, and they want more within that person. So it's time for a brand review. And I think this is a really healthy thing for all of us to do at least once a year, if not twice a year, because we're changing that rapidly. And just the energy on the planet, all of it feeds in together. But even without getting into all the esoteric stuff, just you can see it. Our world is quite volatile, and we've had many, many eons of time of volatility on this planet. It simply is the way it is. We're rolling around every day on these two poles of our planet, and duality is at its best. We've got polarity going on. So you just got to find your place in it. And more than anything, with my business and what I believe in as the Blue Sky Shoppe, I want to see your uniqueness. I want to see what your core value, your brand. I want to help you, and I want to see that come to life, because we need it. And you are here to live that brand. And to understand, you're going to be reviewing it always, because you're always becoming something more, which is so Sagittarian in its nature. Jupiter, planet of expansion, speaking directly to you here. There's more. You are becoming more. Okay. The final card is from the Soul Coaching deck. And the first two cards have been sort of very Sagittarian direct. Yeah. We'll see how this one goes. So light, 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 light. Beautiful imagery. I just immediately just felt this after some very direct sort of messages. This says, my light radiates through my life and the world around me. Let me read that again without tripping up. My light radiates through my life and the world around me. You are the radiator of your light. You need to understand that. Your vibration that you bring in to every single setting you find yourself in really matters, because it significantly affects people. That's what I want to say. She is up on this. This is very Sagittarian looking to me, because again, Sag is the centaur. It's depicted as the centaur with a bow and arrow shooting up at the stars. This is you. You are a person on this planet who has your own little ladder, and you've got like this string tied to the sun, life force, a lot of energy, a lot of like people can't miss you. When you come into a space, people know. And so you've got this equipment, and this is part of what is forming. This is this crystal energy of this week that I feel is forming and that Sag is calling you towards. And Sag loves this energy of the sun being a fire sign. And you've got this equipment within you. You are wired to be a light bringer, to be an exuder, to be this radiator, and you have to think about a radiator in a vehicle. The radiator's job is to keep things cool, to keep things, as much as she is reaching for the sun, that's about maintaining life force so that literally things don't get burned out in the process. So this new crystal that I feel is forming within you is to recognize that you are wired this way, to be a radiator. And by that, I really mean a balancer, trying to maintain life force for yourself while not getting burnt out and not allowing the engine to work. I mean, you got to pay attention to both ends of that. Where is there, like too much water and it's splashing onto the engine and causing all these problems and like sparks to come up because it's too emotional? Or is there not enough water going in and things are getting too heated? You are somebody who can regulate that. I'm really getting a lot of car imagery for this. And what that tells me too is you have a very methodical way about you. And part of the energy, this crystal that is forming for you from our symbol this week is this sense of like, what happens when you actually put your wholeness that is Sag behind this, where you have that wild within and you listen to your intuition and you listen to where you seem to want to go. Maybe you want to go into these certain environments, or you want to take these types of classes, or you want to read these books, or you want to talk to these people, or but also using the beauty of being human and being able to use your mind and use your heart, use that emotional basis too. Those are your regulators. Like, we are living on the earth, and it is about being part of the earth. You're not just hiding away for the rest of time. You find yourself in environments and with other people all the time, every day probably. So it's being that you're the regulator. And what if you brought not only your intuition to the party, but also your brain and everything you've experienced, and you bring essentially your awareness to the fact that you are a radiator, and that in this process you help to regulate, you help to even. And by bringing your awareness to this, because I want to make it personal, this isn't about all being in service to other people. I first and foremost want you to make it personal. How can I see that this new crystal energy that is uniquely you is forming within me, that allows me to find this place of regulating myself, of being the radiator, within my own machinery that is me, and how I bring myself to the world. And in this way, it doesn't matter what or who comes into your experience. You can have like a peak moment where maybe you get triggered on something, and it's like you notice all of a sudden, when you bring your awareness, bring your Sag spirit to it, oh, okay, and back down again, and here we are. And if you look back on your experience in this life, which Sag does really value life experience, but it wants to build upon it. If you look at your prior experience, which is significant, then you will see how when you have come into that place of, bring the balloon down a little bit so it doesn't get up so high that it pops, and it's not dragging on the ground either. It's in this perfect place where you can just enjoy it. And that energy is a place from which you can make decisions more easily and more reliably that are in keeping with how you truly feel. They are not reactive, and they are not dismissive. They are truly you. It is the balloon being held straight in a place where you've got a hold of it. You are deciding how high or how low it goes. You've got, just like she's got her hands on the sun, you are the one that is the regulator of that life force that you have. And I really want to stress the word force, because Sagittarian energy can be very forceful. Jupiter can take us over the edge. The point is in finding that right for you, which is only you are going to know that. But I really bring it up because you can make decisions from a more level-headed place, and therefore is in your best interest. And you not only feel better, and when you feel better and are not in this triggered place of like you either have to feel reactive or defensive or on the offensive, like instead of taking those roles, You are very much just a steady force, like a life force, like a sort of bed of energy that just goes zzz beneath everything. And it's like things just kind of settle themselves out. And what I'm being given here is when the shows where they're panning for gold and they put it in that machine and there's this it bumps all the material along this belt, and out of that comes the gold. It's just a steady, it's not bouncing the material up like a foot in the air. It's just da 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 da, and it's a steady like a belt that it moves along. And that's what I'm feeling for you. It isn't that there's no turbulence. It isn't that you're not speaking up for what you believe in. But it is a more steady representation of your authenticity. It's not like, da, oh, oh. It's not this painful trek that feels so hard. It's just this zzz, this steady energy, just like the radiator in your car. It can be really, really cold out, or it can be really, really hot out, and it finds the right level to which to regulate that temperature for the engine so that the engine can run. And when you do that, you not only feel better, and therefore your energy, your vibration, literally, that you put out into the world, then it helps to bring that sense of calm and this sort of diffusing of this very peak and low moments. It helps to diffuse those really sharp points. And I mean, it draws the people who are in likeness to you, and therefore grows your network of people that you enjoy, people you find inspiring, people you have a lot in common with. It's harder to find those people if you're constantly peaking your energy or dumping it, because sometimes you're finding the peak people, and then when you're in the dump phase, those peak people are still there and they're like, what the hell, where'd you go? Or when you're in the dump phase, you meet people, and then when you're in a peak, they're like, come on down with me, it's lonely down here. So it's harder to find your people. It just works out better when you're just sort of zzz, and it's certainly not a boring place to be. You find people that you are really in tune with, that really matter to you. And then I mostly want you to soak in the benefit to yourself, but understand too that you are being a tremendous service to humanity the more you're coming into that awareness. That's the level Sag wants to take you to, because we need more radiators in this world. It's very helpful. It just stabilizes the energy, because we got plenty of the peak and the dump going on. There's plenty of that, and there always will be. We're never going to get to a perfect state. But that's what makes this world go around, and it causes people to come into their own genuine, authentic way of being that feels right to them. And keep in mind too that with this energy, this kind of stabilizer or radiator energy, we all operate at different frequencies, literally, of that. So, and it's not to mean some are better than others. They simply are tuning into a different frequency. And so some people might be really high, meaning they're, they can only, really allow themselves to get into certain situations and with certain people. And then others like that raw sort of bass tone kind of an area. I personally feel I'm more in that realm. Like, pay attention when you listen to music, particularly if you listen to like a chorus, and there's harmonizing going on. What part are you drawn to? And I'm always drawn to that, like the men's part, the deepest bass. I'm so drawn to that. And so it's just We need all of those frequencies, though. There is none that is better than another. We need all of them to make this beautiful harmonic experience. So you're playing a really important role here, in addition to just personal fulfillment, which is what I mostly want for you. That is the most important thing, is you being happy and joyous and authentically you, in your uniqueness, your way, your frequency. There we go, everybody. Sag never disappoints, ever. And this new element is forming just for you in your unique way. Everything is turning around. There's big reviews going on, big shifts in energy. It's going to feel good. So let's take advantage of it. All right. Bye-bye for now.